Alright, so I just bought some Currie anti-rock sway bars for the Jeep. So first thing really is I got to get this bumper off. So this is a rough country stubby bumper. I'm not 100% sure it's going to fit completely. The rotation here with this, I might end up having to cut this, but we'll see. First thing I got to get it off so we can get this out, and you're not really going to be able to see it, but it's going to go in a hole there. I'll show you once I have the bumper off. And these are better than the disconnects because there's such a thing as maximum allowable flex, whereas these will flex all the way, but you'll lose traction, whereas this will keep some pressure on that tire so you get some traction. But yeah, let's go ahead. Okay, so we've got the sway bar exposed here, and these are the holes I was talking about earlier. So there should be two bolts. They are 15 millimeters, should be here and here holding this bracket that holds the sway bar in. So we're going to get rid of all four. There's two on each side, and then we should be able to get the sway bar out pretty easily. After that, we'll see. So as you can see, I got the sway bar removed, and next was the very annoying part. I just got one bushing in. So you have this bushing. They just you gotta use a mallet and mallet them into the holes. But it's very useful to get a file to file down the inside of the tube in case there are any burrs, and then also I had to file this a little bit itself. But so we're gonna go put the other one in on the other side, and then put some grease on the inside of this. And then we're going to push the new sway bar that came with it through both of them and get it centered. Okay, so this turned out to be the hardest part so far. Definitely get a good mallet. So basically you hammer this in until this side and this side are about the same. I measured it, each one should stick out about 7/8 of an inch. But as you can see, I didn't actually have a mallet, and I was hammering with blocks of wood, and I destroyed 4, and it took a long time and a lot of effort. But finally got it. So now we're just going to mount these bars. This one goes on the other side, but they should just slide on like that, and then we'll bolt them real quick. Okay. So when you put these on, these anti-rock bars just slide on. You just want to make sure that both sides are parallel, so they're going to install evenly. Then you take the 3/4 inch bolt and only washer and tighten it right there. And that used a 3/16 male hex bit. And then here you have two 9/16. And it's the 1.5 inch bolt with the nylock nut, and you just tighten that down. And we'll do that on both sides. Okay, so the instructions for figuring out the length of this rod say to have this level with the frame as it is right now, and measure from the center of this middle hole right here to the center of the hole where you're going to mount it, and then that should be your total length of the threaded rod. And the rod itself should be 2 inches shorter than that length, because each of these heim joints adds an inch. And so I was a little bit confused, so I actually called Currie, and they said that what you need to do is it should be level here at the middle of your suspension travel. So to figure out that, you need to know the amount of up travel you have and the amount of down travel. So the amount of up travel is easy. You can just measure with the Jeep on level ground the distance between the bump stops. It's pretty easy. But then to find your down travel, what I'm doing right now is jacking up from the frame and then finding the new distance. So then you got to find the middle of those two. They say if you want to cut it shorter, get a hacksaw and cut this. If you use another saw, it's probably going to fuck up the ends, mess up the ends, and you're not going to be able to thread the rod and the joint and the nut back on. And they also sell shorter rods, which I'm thinking I might need. We'll see here soon. Okay, so I bought some 6.5 inch rods. So basically, when I measured my Jeep at stock on level ground like this, there was a 6.5 inch gap. However, like I showed you, my maximum travel for 8 inches, so the middle of my suspension travel would be 4 inches. And when it's at level ground again, there's only a 3-inch gap between bump stops. So that means I need to add an inch for it to be the middle of its travel when it's instead of being on the ground. So really, my measurement should be 7.5 inches. So I have a 6.5 inch rod. However, I'm going to add two 1-inch heim joints on the inlet, which would be 8.5 inches. So I need to cut a total of 1 inch off each of these rods. So I'm going to back 1/2 inch off each end and cut it with the hacksaw on both rods. and then it should be easy to just screw it on. For sawing this off, I recommend you have a vise, otherwise you're going to be doing this ridiculous clamp method that I'm doing. But so I've got this one assembled. You'll need a 3/4 inch and 16mm wrench, but we just put it on. Let me turn this light on, hold on. So we've got the 2 wrenches there, and we just mounted it. And you see it's just slightly more than parallel to the ground. And then we're just going to make it the same length on the other side, and we'll be done.